Good day, everyone. Today we're going to be talking about our other method of factoring when you can't use X method. Okay, so yesterday we talked about completing the square. All right, completing the square is nice because when you use it, you can actually apply it to almost any equation. Okay, it is a little bit more complex equation. It is a little bit more intense in its actual final math, but at the end of the day, it is a very nice equation to use. Okay, so today we're going to be talking something about, you probably heard before, it's called the quadratic formula. Okay, the quadratic formula is listed right here. Okay, this here is the quadratic formula: negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, what that does for us is it's going to find values that we couldn't on our own using X method. All right, now one of the key things I want you to understand is when we're doing this, when we're actually working this out, when we're actually solving this out, one of the key questions is, when do I complete the square versus when I use quadratic formula? Well, I would always suggest whenever you have an a value that's not 1, use the quadratic formula. If you notice all of yesterday's problems on the completing the square, we only dealt with 1 for our a value. Okay, the reason is because when you have a completing the square value when a is 1, it's very easy to just plug in that equation and solve, versus when you have an a value that's not 1, for this example it's 2 this time. Now we run into some issues where we have to actually apply some other different things because it makes it more complicated if I actually try to do it without completing the square. Okay, so what we're going to do here is actually use the quadratic formula, and pretty straightforward. All it really is taking our 3 values, which are a, b, and c, got directly from the values in our equation, and plug them right into the problem itself. So this comes out to be negative 12 plus or minus the square root of 12 squared minus 4 times a, which is 2, c, which is 6, all over 2 times 2. Okay? Now, that's kind of step 1, is just plugging it in and getting to this point. Now, at this particular moment, I would definitely take a second and make sure you have your values right. Okay? On top of that, for anyone using a calculator, I would highly suggest that you take the time to simplify this one step at a time. Okay? So here's what I'm going to do first. I'm literally just going to focus on the square root portion. Let's get that simplified so that we can figure out what that's going to be. If I were to simplify that, that would come out to be 12 squared, which is 144, minus 4 times 2, which is 8, and then 8 times 6, which is going to be 48. Okay? If I were to subtract those out, oops, I don't want to make that look like a negative either. That's supposed to be an arrow. There we go. Okay, so underneath the square root, that's what I'm going to be left with. So that square root value is going to turn into negative 12 plus or minus the square root of whatever this simplifies to be, which comes out to be 96 all over, and then 2 times 2 is 4. Okay? At this point, if you wanted to use the calculator to simplify it, that'd be fine. Okay? I would still suggest maybe simplifying even more, doing the square root portion first, and then working it out from there. But at that point, once it is simplified, once you get the value, that's a part of your answer. You go put it in decimal form. You could simplify the radical. All of them work, but technically that is your answer. Okay, that is why the quadratic formula is very nice. All right, once you simplify it, your answer is already set in stone, given to you. However, notice this is kind of the nice way to use it when you actually have an a value. If you don't have an a value, using your other equation is going to be a lot easier to do. Okay? But we'll talk about this more in class tomorrow. This is just kind of the introductory video. The key thing to remember is this equation is what we're going to be using, the quadratic formula, and we're going to be using that to solve out for our problems. Okay? Besides that, I will see you tomorrow. Have a great day.